If we take a look at this specific grid, it's all about crossing the chasm. And this specific theoretical model says that it's quite difficult to take a technology that is accepted by a small group of people in the early market that really love technology for technology's sake, and crossing the chasm to more towards the early market where the real money resides, because this is the market where they say, I'm not prepared to adapt to a technology. The technology should adapt to me. One of the ways of getting a technology from an early startup into the marketplace is to link up with an established brand, like a cellular company. And this means that cellular companies can look at a number of these new initiatives, assist them to move over the chasm, and in essence, create a whole ecosystem of different value-added services that they play a significant role in. So, cellular companies can really play a significant role by making more and more of these services available to the man on the street via their established distribution structure and their established CRM and billing environment. So all of these services can be added to your phone bill at the end of the month, which means that a bundle of value-added services can now be provided to the client at the end of the day. The conclusion. Telecommunication networks will always be critical in connecting people to others and to content. But in a world of increased bandwidth, we see that the same business models will no longer hold. We'll see a reduction in voice income for fixed line as well as cellular companies. The key question, however, is, with all of these threats from a variety of companies, how will telecommunication companies be able to reinvest in infrastructure in the next 10 years? In the next 10 years, second-generation networks will be a far smaller part of the global cake than it is right now. And new investment in new infrastructure will be required. Will the money that cellular companies make out of value-added services be sufficient enough in order to invest in new infrastructure? In countries like South Africa, we've got another problem where there's a lack of competition and there's only one infrastructure. There's a lot of talk about opening up the bandwidth to a person's home, local loop unbundling, and opening up infrastructure. That might be wise in the short term to allow competitors to use the infrastructure to compete effectively with the current incumbent. But in the long term, will the incumbent or any other company make a significant investment in infrastructure if they don't have any reasonable return on investment linked to it? And that's one of the key problems. And also one of the key regulatory questions that'll have to be answered. Because if this open infrastructure is just left as is, then slowly but surely the telecommunication standards and quality will start to deteriorate. The whole infrastructure will start to deteriorate. And it will be extremely important that a fine balance be kept between investors and how much people are prepared to pay for access. The whole idea that you can pay nothing to make a telephone call is quite nice. But it only works if the infrastructure can be sustained and upgraded in the future in this new competitive environment. These are the key questions that will face a number of developing companies or countries in the future. And it'll take the wisdom of a number of very wise men and women in order to create an environment where sustainable telecommunication infrastructure will be available for the next generation that is coming after us. Thank you so much for using time to look at this video that looks at the battle between the netheads and the bellheads. I hope it made sense in categorizing a number of technologies, and take a look at every bit of news that you see in the news wires and try and fit it to this model. You'll find it quite fascinating. Thank you.